What are we doing out here?
I'm about to spend half of my day standing in line
For what?
to buy Hermes on sale.
What is everybody here for?
But who's counting? Optimistic.
What time do you think we can get in?
If we're lucky, we're the first group.
What time is it right now?
7:17. So if we're lucky, we'll be the first group, one part of the first group that gets in, like the tail end of the first group. Otherwise, hoping to get in by 11.
Yeah, I bet over the cheaper over there. I don't know. I never had
It's 8. How you feeling?
I'm still optimistic.
What's the number you got? 101?
I have 101.
So, how you feeling right now?
Excited.
What time is it already?
8:38. The line started moving. I heard they're letting like 40 to 50 people in at a time.
Okay.
So we got a
What
little while.
What are you doing right now? You're like moving.
Trying to get blood flowing to my legs.
How long have we been out here?
Almost 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours.
No, this I thought. I bet they give flowers to sit down.
Think it's gonna be worth it?
I hope so. It's 9:15.
Babe, turn around.
Hi, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to share my experience at the Hermes sale that was in New York City. I had attended the first day of the public sale, which was October 24th. There was a VIP, like invitation only, private sale on the 23rd. So the first day for the general public was the 24th. It was running from the 24th through the weekend, so 24, 25, 26, 27th. And they were roughly, the hours were roughly 9 to 6 p.m. So I tried something a little bit different this time. I tried to almost vlog a little bit of it to kind of catalog the journey. So I hope you enjoyed that. But I wanted to do this video not only to share what I was able to pick up, but also my experience and some of the details around it, because I tried to do a little bit more research and like read up on it before I went, because I didn't know what to expect. And there just wasn't a whole lot of information out there. So I hope this can be helpful for you who might be attending one in the near future or things like that. I heard about this sale through the Purse Bop. On their Instagram, they announced that there was a sale. I have periodically seen them share announcements for Hermes sales, but they had always been in like Chicago, or Paris. Those are definitely cities that I remember seeing the notifications for. And then in the summer, in July, there was actually a sale in Short Hills, New Jersey. And I was contemplating going to that one, but it wasn't easy for me to get to Short Hills, New Jersey. And similarly, it was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday ordeal. And I was like, I don't know if that's really going to be worth it. So I decided to pass on that sale. But last week I saw the Purse Bop announce that there was going to be an Hermes sale in New York City which is where I live. So then that definitely piqued my interest and I thought I would stop by. So I might look a little extra pale today because I literally just got back from this sale. I went early this morning with my boyfriend. We both decided to take the day off from work and head over to this sale. We decided that we wanted to go early because we wanted to be in the first waves, not necessarily the first people, but like one of the first waves to go in. And so we got there by 6:15 in the morning, which is crazy, I know, but lo and behold. We got there at 6:15. As you can see, we got there before the sun even rose, and so there were already about 100 people in line, and I thought that was crazy, but there was a part of me that thought it might be worse. So I was like, okay, this line looks like it's manageable, so I'm gonna wait in line and see how it goes. So around 7 a.m. was when the event coordinators came out to put up the poles and draw out like the waiting lanes that kind of snake, because initially the people were just kind of in one like round line. There was like an empty lot nearby where the line started to extend into, and so people just like kind of followed the walls of the empty lot, and they came to set up the lanes so that you can kind of snake through it. You know, the lanes that you have at the airport, like the TSA lanes. So around 7 a.m. is when they started doing that, and then just before 8 a.m. is when they started handing out wristbands. Now this is pretty key. I found out later that it was like one of the first times they did this whole wristband concept. But the wristbands are numbered and you need to be in line, and if you are waiting and holding spots for additional people, they need to be there, physically be there to receive their own wristband when they are handing out wristbands, and it's like they get to your spot. That's critical because I saw some people who were waiting on their friends and they couldn't get extra wristbands. They were not giving them out. If you were not there when they came by, then you were not getting your spot. And they're also numbered, so they know like the specific order that you came in. As you can see, my number was 101. I was so sad I wasn't part of the first 100 people, but I was 101. We got our wristbands around like 8:10 or so. Starting 8:30, they started to move people in, and it actually turned out that the place opened up a little bit earlier, so the sale started at 8:30. I think they were saying that they would take waves of about 40 to 50 people, and I think that was like the big first wave, and then after that they were taking pretty much groups of 10 people, taking them over. So the total wait time outside was from 6:15 a.m. to about 10 a.m. Around 10 a.m. is when I was finally part of like the next set of 10 people who could head on over inside. You get escorted by one of the event coordinators, and then there was a coat check. You had to coat check your coat, jacket, hat, scarves, gloves, and handbag, your purse. I thought if I had like a small bag, I would be able to keep that, but no. They want you to check in all of your handbags, big or small, and you just need to take your credit card, and you can take your phone with you. After you coat check, you wait briefly to then go up a flight of stairs, and then you wait at the stairs because that's the entrance to the sale space. And once they have some folks leave and they have some space, they let you go in pretty much one at a time. So one person leaves, one person can go in, 2 people leave, then 2 people can go in. And that's pretty much how the whole system runs. So end to end, I think I finally stepped foot inside the sale place, like the sale floor, around 10:15 or 10:30. Somewhere around there is probably when I was able to step foot on the sale floor and start seeing everything. There are no pictures allowed in this place, but I managed to get some stealth shots. They're not the best shots because they were stealth. But I hope it gives you a sense of like what the space looks like. Because I went with my boyfriend and he was totally willing to help me shop, I asked him to start taking a look through the scarf section because I knew there was a line at the jewelry section. It turns out that the jewelry section is the only one that has an additional lineup. All the other sections are like you're free to browse, you're free to go in and out, whatever you want to do, but the jewelry section is the only one that has an additional line. And because of that, I wanted to stand in the jewelry line, and I asked my boyfriend to take a browse through the scarves and pick out some of the things that I would like. And I was looking for more of the cashmere scarves, not the 100% silk, but the cashmere blend scarves. So that was what he was taking a look for me. There are these large plastic bags where you're supposed to put your items in there. It's one bag per person. So I sent him off there while I was waiting in the jewelry line. I want to say I was waiting in that jewelry line for like a good 40 minutes. What happens at the jewelry section is you have to wait for a sales associate to become available, and then they will service you one-on-one. Even if you came with a friend, if you're both planning on purchasing items, then you have to individually get a sales associate. Your shopping window is 10 minutes. 10 minutes-ish. I mean, they didn't like turn a stopwatch on and then have the alarm go off if it was 10 minutes, but that's what they had to tell you, that it's 10 minutes. As the line started building up, I could see that the sales associates were kind of telling each other that, you know, it's 10 minutes. They're reminding each other that it's 10 minutes, so they kind of have to cut it if it's taking a while. The jewelry was only costume jewelry. They had 3 different categories. One was like the enamel bangles. The other one were the hinge bracelets or the H bracelets. That's the other category. And the third category was the leather, horn, or metal bracelets. And you could only buy one from each category. So I could get one H bracelet, one leather, horn, or metal item, and then one of the bangles. You could not get more than one even if you wanted to. And all the prices were 50% off retail. Some of the leather goods, because it depended on what leather you got, the price weren't listed and you had to look at the tag for each of the items. So I waited in the jewelry line for about 40 minutes, and then I got a sales associate, was able to take a look through all of the items. I made my final selection, and they ask for your name at the jewelry counter, and they write it on this white bag, and they put the items in here, and they say you can pick them up when you check out at the end. So you can gather as many pieces as you want from all over the sale floor and collect them all and bring them to the cash register basically. And when you're there, they'll ask you for your name, they'll bring this bag out, and then they will ring you up. So after I went through the jewelry section, I met up with my boyfriend. I took a look at the scarves that he had picked out. He also was able to go to the women's shoe section, and they had the jumping boots there. I was like shocked that they had the jumping boots. He was able to pick out my size in the brown color, and I was super excited to try them on. And then he also had picked out a pair of shoes and things like that. So I wanted to also take a look through the scarf section to see if there was anything additional. So I did. Personally for me, none of the scarf patterns really stood out. I feel like a lot of them were very similar in the fact that they were like that florally, almost paisley print for a lot of them. So they weren't really my style. I tried to look at a few, and I looked at some different colors, but this cashmere silk blend scarves were just not really doing it for me. Like I said, I wasn't interested in the full 100% silk scarves. And then I looked at like the more winter scarves, so the full cashmere wool scarves, and they had a few, but everything was 50% off retail for the scarves. So the 45 centimeter silk scarves were like retail $195, and then they were like 50% off that. The 90 centimeters were $400 and something, and then 50% off that, and it kind of goes up from there. So the winter like cashmere wool scarves were, I think all of them were almost in the thousands. So there was one that I liked, which was like $11.75 or something like that, $11.50. So I thought about it, and then in the end, I decided not to pick that up. Then I took a browse through all of the shoes. I tried on the riding boots, and I'm really glad that I was able to try on the riding boots because that calf circumference is tiny. Like, I don't think I have the largest calves. I don't have the slimmest calves either, don't get me wrong. But like, they're a little bit on the muscular side, I have to say, because I box and I use my legs a lot like that. But like, I still don't think that they're like large, right? I don't have to buy like wide circumference boots in general. But these riding boots are tiny, tiny, tiny. Like, I swear it's like some kind of ridiculous like 14-inch circumference, and I'm just like, whose legs are that tiny? Okay, and okay, these are supposed to be like riding boots. Okay, who rides a horse and like does like, unless you just like don't use your legs, I don't know how your legs can be that tiny. And all of the Hermes tall boots were like that. I was like excited to maybe get a pair of tall boots, but they were all so tiny in the calf space that I could not get them up my legs. So that was a no. And then I looked through the rest of the shoes. There were no Oran sandals. There were the H like heels. I forgot what it's called, but I'll try to put it right here. The H heels, but they were all in exotics. So they were all Croc or Lizard, which means the price point of them goes up a lot. And then they had, I think the rest of them were a lot of seasonal shoes. Now, they did have a lot of booties, and they did have like a few espadrilles. They had sneaker styles, and they also had some like loafer styles. So I kind of thought the sale would all be like the last season stuff, so off-season items, but they actually had a good number of boots and things like that. And then the middle section was where they had the ready-to-wear. They had women and men's ready-to-wear. For me, the ready-to-wear price points to begin with were a little pricey to be able to, you know, really delve into that space. Plus, I wasn't that, I'm not at a point in my life where I'm that like thrilled by Hermes ready-to-wear. So I took a pass on that. I did take a browse through the men's section to see if I could get something for my dad, but it wasn't really worth it. They had a lot of hats as well. Just past the scarf section, they had men's and women's hats that a lot of people were looking at. So I think that pretty much sums up all of the different sections. Oh, I forgot to mention with the jewelry, these are all costume jewelry. They don't have any of their fine jewelry. And with the jewelry pieces, they do not come with a box or a dust bag. You just get them the way they are, in the condition that they are. All sales are final, and all the items are marked with an S, which indicates that they had been purchased through a sale. That was a lot of just like informational stuff. I can now jump into the items that I scored in this sale. And then I have my receipt so I can share the costs for each of the items. I'll start out with this box. It's very exciting. While the jewelry doesn't come with boxes, the shoes do. The shoes are all displayed in a box. So you're able to just like pull the shoes from the rack and then in its own box. The first item that I picked up was this horn necklace right here, and it has the little like purple, I think that's, well, purple resin on the inside. And I'm gonna try to get a close-up of this in case you can't see, but the S is literally like, ooh, the S is literally like etched in there. I know my nail is broken, but hopefully you can see that. And then they also cut the prices off the tag. They leave the tag on, but they cut, you know, they like cut it in half. So this was originally $360, but because it was half off, I got this for $180. And this is intended to be a gift for my mom. It just is like a perfect style for her, so I picked this up for her. And then now the exciting stuff. Because I'm allowed to get one H bracelet, I did pick one up, and I got it in this beautiful color right here. So I got the Clic Clac H. This is in Rose Velours. which is just gorgeous, and it's in the rose gold hardware. So I used to have one of these. I used to have the Clic H, so the really thin style. I had it in black enamel with gold hardware, and at the time I purchased it in the GM size because I wanted to wear it with a watch, and it was gorgeous. I loved it for the time, and then I stopped wearing it with the watch, and then it started to just like it just like jingled around too much. I didn't really care for it, and I didn't really care for the gold hardware anymore. As you know from like my Birkin and a lot of other bags that I get, I tend to go for silver hardware because I feel like it's more fresh. Like I'm not super into that yellow gold look. Or I like rose gold because I feel like it looks really good against my skin tone. So I was excited to be able to pick up a rose gold Clac H bracelet. And then for those of you who aren't familiar, you just squeeze the bracelet and you flip the H up. And then I can just put it on this hand for you. So that's the first bracelet that I got. And then if you remember the rules, when it came to the jewelry section, you could only get one from each category. One from the hinge bracelets, which is this H style, and then there's the other one, I don't know, I forgot what it's called, but it has like a hinge, it has like a little bump as the hinge. So one from either of those styles, one from the bangles, the actual like enamel bangles, and then one from the leather, horn, or metal section. Now, my next item is actually this Rivale double tour in the lizard, and this is in the color Bougainvillier. I have no idea how to pronounce that because I don't speak French, but it's a color that I've heard of before. It's in this gorgeous corally pinkish color with the silver hardware. I technically have two in this category, right? And which is not allowed. I was supposed to pick from one of these. What happens with your sales associate is, while you're looking through the case, at least how it was organized when I went, it was the leather, metal, and horn section first. They had 2 cases of that, and then they had 1 or 2 cases of the enamel bangles, and then they had 2 cases for the hinge and H bracelets. And so you just kind of make your way down left to right, and your SA who's helping you has a tray. They have a little tray where they will put out the stuff that you want to consider or you're going to buy, and then they will carry those with you, and you can edit your selections at the end if you have to pick. So what I did was I first left these 2 on my tray. I knew I had to pick one, but I left them there, and I went down to the H bracelet section because I knew I didn't want any of the bangles, and just was taking a look. And I was just driving really well with the SA who was helping me. I guess she liked me. I was being really nice to her, and I was being really nice. Like I was like, oh, we can like put all of these other ones back. Like I don't need to hoard this stuff. You know, someone else might want to look at it, and I just kept saying things like that. In passing, mentioned that my boyfriend was also here, and he was helping me shop in the other sections while I was looking at the bracelets. I finally picked my Clic Clac H, and I had to pick between the 2, and I was having a really hard time because I didn't know which one I wanted to pick, mostly because I wanted to get this for my mom. And she was like, well, are these both for you? And I was like, no, I was trying to get this for my mom because, you know, I think she could tell this wasn't really my style. The SA who was helping me, she was also really nice and really friendly. She was like, you know, you're really nice and I want to help you out. Don't tell anybody, but I'm gonna put this under your boyfriend's name, because my boyfriend wasn't with me at the time, right? So she's like, I'm just gonna put it under his name so that you can get it when you guys leave, but don't tell anybody because I don't want to get in any trouble. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And so that's how I ended up with 2 from one category. Technically, for this can happen. This can always happen, but you would need your other person that you're shopping with to be in line with you, and then have their own SA to be able to pick this up and add it to their tray. But I honestly just lucked out. I wasn't looking for it, and I wasn't asking for it. I just lucked out with an SA who understood, and she was really nice and friendly about it. So that's how I was able to come home with 2 of these, and I'm really stoked about it. I wanted this style. I almost picked one up while I was in Hawaii, but I was getting so many other items that I decided to pass on a white and rose gold item. This is lizard, and I figured, when would I ever get another, like when would I get a lizard piece? I thought it was great to get it at half off, so I picked this one up. Oh, and for prices, so the Clic Clac H's are normally $7.20, so it was half off of that. And this Rivale is in the exotic leather is normally $800. The tag said $800, but it rang up as $830. So I got half of $830. That's another thing. The tags might not be 100% true. So when you're checking out, just double check with the agent who scanned all of your items to just double check all the prices. The jewelry case just has all of the items laid out, and you visually look at them and you can indicate which one you want to look at. You can ask and see if they have like another size. There's like a back table, and the SA can go look back at the stuff and see if there is one that you're looking for and bring it back for you. This was a T1 basically, or a small size. I was afraid it might not fit, but it actually does fit. And my other leather bracelet has stretched a little bit, so I figured this is gonna have some give, and I decided it wasn't uncomfortable, so I figured I would just go for it. They have a mix of exotics and plain leathers in the same boxes. It's organized by size, not by style, so at least for the leather ones. And so you're just gonna have to look through what's there and pick out the ones that you want to try on. And you can try everything on. The SAs help you put them on, and they can help you find the right size for you. They're all really helpful still, and that's why it's 10 minutes-ish. Now you've just been seeing these shoes down here for a while. So the shoes I picked up are actually these loafers right here. So they're these white loafers. They're called the Kennedy loafer. These are in calfskin in the Blanc, and I got a size 38. Which I think translates to a US 8 pretty much. My Oran sandals are a 39, so I started out in the 39 section trying some things on, but they were all a little too big. So I think 38 really translates to a US 8, and because the Orans are like a sandal style, you can go up a size to make sure they fit around your feet. But anyway, this is what these look like. Because these are white shoes, there are like little scuff marks on them, but I actually don't mind that at all because it makes it a lot easier for me to wear these. I just loved how crisp they looked, and I felt like these looked more iconic Hermes shoes because of the H in the front, and it wasn't like a screaming H either, and they weren't like, they didn't seem too much of like a seasonal style. It's definitely a seasonal color, but not so much a seasonal style. So I'm excited about these, and as you can see, the shoes do come with dust bags in the box, which is very nice. I wasn't expecting that. And these Kennedy loafers were originally $900, and they were half off. The shoes are half off. And then the other box is a pair of shoes that my boyfriend got actually, and I really like this style. So these are the men's, I think they're called the derby. Yeah, the men's derby shoe. As you can see, it's like it's a sneaker-ish like dress shoe style, and I really liked how the sole is like a sneaker, so it like kind of looks a little sporty, but you could dress them up as well. There's a little bit of perforation at the toe. I'm not sure you're able to see that. But these are the shoes that my boyfriend picked up. These also came with the dust bag. These, when we rang them up, actually came out as cheaper than what the sticker price has at the bottom of the shoes. So I'm not necessarily complaining about it, but that was just a surprise when we got to check out. So these derby shoes were $8.90 and then they were half off. So the shoe section, you had a limit of 3 shoes, and that's across the men's and women's section, and that's per person. The scarves, the silk scarves, you were limited to 4 scarves, and then 2 of the cashmere wool scarves. Jewelry, there's 1 per category, so you could get max 3. And the ready to wear, I know it was 60% off. I'm not sure there was any kind of limit on how many ready to wear pieces you could get. That's the only one that I'm not 100% sure about. I wasn't clearly I wasn't paying that much attention to the ready to wear. And then the like hats, and there were like swimsuits there too. There was a really tiny section of that, but I'm not sure if there was any kind of limit on how many you could get on those. All right, so that was everything. That's everything that I picked up from the HERMES sale in New York City. I hope you found this video helpful on how it's structured, what to expect, and what it's like. I don't think there's a sale in New York City every year. The last time it was in New York City, I think, was a couple years ago. There was the one in Jersey in the summer. So I think it's just one of those, like, if you know, you know. So if you want to like look out for that kind of information, I think the Purse Pop is definitely a great source of that kind of announcement. And then, like I said, I think in the winter time they usually have one in Chicago. I think Paris has one every year. I think it runs in a very similar style, but the ones in Paris might include a few more categories of things, but that might also depend year on year. Like, I was hoping that they would have belts, but they don't have any leather goods. They don't have any small leather goods or leather goods. The only kind of leather are going to be on the shoes or in the jewelry. By the time we paid and left, it was $12.45, so the whole thing was about a 6.5-hour adventure. Do I recommend it, or do I think it's worth it? I definitely think it's worth it. I would do it again. I would definitely go early. Going early, I think, is really only advantageous for the jewelry section, because the line, by the time I was done looking at everything and rationalizing everything that I had in my bag and then heading over to the cash registers, the jewelry line was pretty full. I entered the line when it was about half of the lanes full, and when I was leaving it was about full, which means you're waiting in that line for about an hour, because I waited for like 40 minutes, right? Hour plus. And so going early means you'll have potentially a better selection of the jewelry that's available. Other than that, for the other sections, you don't have to go that early. If you're not interested in getting any of the jewelry pieces, I think you don't necessarily have to get there 6 a.m. and wait. The scarves, they have more stock underneath the tables, and so they will continuously replenish, I guess, until they run out, but they will continuously replenish those styles. So it's not like, you know, you see 2 on the table and that's all I have. They have more underneath the table, but all the styles they have will be laid out. There are no additional styles underneath the table. The shoes, if you're really into shoes, coming early could be helpful, because they might have more things in your size. They don't necessarily have specific styles that are current that you might be looking for. So if you go with an open mind, you might be pleasantly surprised. Going early gives you more options when it comes to shoe size and jewelry options, but outside of that, you don't necessarily have to go in at, you know, 5 in the morning. If you really want to be part of the morning crew, I would definitely recommend getting in line before 7 a.m. Once I left, I just walked by the line area to see what the line looked like. It looked like there were about 100 people still in line. That just gives you a gauge of how many people are still there when it's 12:30. I definitely enjoyed myself, and I definitely appreciate the fact that my boyfriend came along with me. I think it would be a lot more enjoyable if you go with someone, at least like one other person. You don't have to go in a whole gang of people, but you know, at least with one other person, just to like share some of the time with. And it's also helpful to, if you have like nice line neighbors. I was like where there were a bunch of friendly people, so we were all just chatting about waiting in line for HERMES. Have we been here before? What are we looking for? And like, it was just fun to be in line and share experiences and, you know, kill time together. I think all of the folks who were working were pretty friendly. There was no like grabbing stuff out of your arms if you're holding on to it. It was still really classy, so I appreciated that. Pleasantly surprised by the selection. I think if you're interested in HERMES costume jewelry, then this is definitely something that you would want to check out. If you're interested, I would definitely stop by. If you don't think something like this is worth the 6 hours, then you can skip it. If it's not worth it to you, then it's not worth it to you, right? So like, I mean that in like the least sarcastic way possible. It's all about what really, what you care about and what matters to you, right? So if you go in with an open mind, I'm sure you will be pleasantly surprised. If you go in looking for very, very specific items, chances are you might be a bit disappointed. But if you go in with a pretty open mind, then I think it's just fun. If you love Hermes, you would love it on sale, right? Okie dokie, so I think that's everything. I know this was a really chatty video and a slightly different style with the snippets of the video, but I hope you enjoyed all of that. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave them down below or head on over to Instagram and I'd be happy to help however I can. If you like this video and you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate all of your feedback and support. I hope you don't mind this like grubby look. Like I said, I was up at 5 in the morning to go through this whole adventure. I wanted to be real with you guys. I wanted you guys to see like what it took and what it looks like afterwards. If you haven't already and you like this kind of content, I post new videos every Sunday. If you'd like to be one of the first to know, then feel free to subscribe. So until next time, bye! I just wanted to mention and thank everybody. I have reached and surpassed my 500 subscriber goal. That was a little milestone that I set for myself, and I'm just really ecstatic that I have passed that. I think I've hinted to it in another video that I would be doing like an event around it, and so I am planning something. Please subscribe and stay tuned because I will post that video as soon as I can. I just haven't had a chance to film it, and yeah, I just wanted to leave a little teaser here so that you know that there's more to come.